Hey, welcome to SplusK Gaming. Totally new channel, totally new thing, totally new hobby, really. I've been a lifelong gamer. Oh my gosh, and that's a long life, so, one of those things. But starting a new thing, but I wanted to kind of start things off with a raw introduction. I don't have green screen set up. I'm not actually playing any games right now, as we speak anyway. And just wanted to kind of give you a heads up of who I am, what I'm about, what I'm doing. You see a lot of game streamers get popular doing things, and then 100 episodes in, you get to know them, what they're doing. But I figured, why not start from scratch? Just kind of testing this out, checking things out, getting things set up. I've got some equipment. I did a podcast a little while back that I'll talk about, but you're getting to know me from day one. This is what I'm doing, and everything's just raw, starting from scratch. So, my general idea here is that I'm going to be recording this on Twitch. Most of my streams will be on Twitch. I'll record it, publish it to YouTube. Also plan on doing like a weekly podcast of myself and where things are at and things that I'm doing. That will probably just be YouTube, but who knows? I don't generally watch Twitch for live, this is me talking kind of thing. Though, I mean, hey, if you like it, then maybe I'll keep doing it, but those kinds of things will generally go to YouTube. This kind of stuff that I'm doing now will be on YouTube. Gaming will be on Twitch. That's pretty self-explanatory. But doing my own thing here. This to be a personal experience. I'm not just playing the game of the month, doing things that are popular to earn money. I've got the day job. I'm good. But this is something that I would love to do. Going forward and all that kind of stuff. So, Fort of Nerd 79 can hear and see me. I can see you, but I can't hear you, and I think that's how it should be. Welcome to the channel. For those of you getting to know me, I'd mentioned the podcast for a little while. I was doing that with my buddy Spencer on the Fortress of Nerditude. That was probably my first real introduction to any kind of modern streaming. Though, or not even streaming really, podcast. But I did have a little stint on the radio. This was... Oh, goodness. So I'd been in the service. I joined when I was 23, so got out of the service when I was 27. I was about 29 years old. That was about almost 20 years ago. I was on a talk show at 3 a.m. Sunday mornings. I was doing some broadcasting school. I wanted to be a DJ for a minute, which was kind of fun. I think the school was fun. The talk show, not so much. It was awkward trying to do a talk show at 3 o'clock in the morning on Sunday morning when the only, I had like 3 or 4 callers total, one of them being my first wife at the time. And she would always pose these really random, challenging, strange questions or even posit some weird stuff like, why she felt it was A-okay to smoke in the library. Dumb crazy stuff like that. But I mean, I appreciate the support, and it was always easier to talk about something awkward than it was to not have anything to talk about at all or anyone to talk to. So anyway, yeah, fast forward, did several episodes of the podcast with Spencer on the Fortress of Nerditude. Loved the experience. Life got a bit crazy, and I kind of had to step away from that and step away from a lot of things and just kind of focus on some stuff. One of those being the other half of what I'm doing. So SplusK is really just kind of an amalgamation of SplusK, which is me, S, Stu, and my lovely wife, Katina, K. We kind of have a brand, which if you see our YouTube channel, the thumbnail of that just kind of, it was literally drawing in the sand with a stick at a beach that we like to go to. But it sort of became bigger than that, larger than life. We had it on as our wedding topper and on our wedding cake. We've got it on everything we do. I've got a sticker on my car. She's got a sticker on her car. We have pictures. We have images. It's become a logo for our brand. And if you want to talk about being madly in love with somebody, that's right where it's at. So we're kind of joined at the hip virtually in that regard, and all of what we do, at least all of what I'm doing here, is just kind of in honor of that. You're not going to see her on the channel, unfortunately. She's a little video shy, but this is certainly an homage to both of us, and just kind of came up with the SplusK naturally from all of that. SplusK is one word, and so yeah, SplusK Gaming was born. SplusK everything was born. So yeah, so talking about doing a weekly kind of thing. Gonna do gaming on Twitch, podcast on YouTube, post those kinds of things. Try to have a regular schedule, get that going. Life's settled down a little bit. Things do come up, so I would love to promise 100% regularity, but like Metamucil, that doesn't always quite happen. So me, I talked a little bit about being on the radio, having a podcast. My job, my day job, I'm actually quite happy doing what I do. I am a software consultant for businesses that implement Salesforce software, which is a CRM, if you're familiar with the term. And basically, it's just business software, and we go and we customize it for their business. I lead a team. I'm a regional. I'm a service. Oh man, being on the spot on video, it's a little different. Service delivery manager for the Western U.S. for the company that I work for. I've got a team of managed service consultants that work for me. And it's fantastic. It's challenging. I get paid to solve other people's problems, which, if you have any kind of control issues, that's a good career field to be in, trust me. But I love it. The business has been very supportive of some needs that we have in our life. My wife has some health concerns that really kind of mandate that we think about those kinds of things in everything that we do. And that's just what it is. But they've supported me through all of that. I'm able to work from home. I don't have to travel. If I have to take time off, they give it. Just my boss and my team have been wonderful. I thank them for everything. And even without that, I love culture. And the culture of the business that I work for is just phenomenal. It's the leadership displays it on everything. It really drives what we do. Culture can be kind of a buzzword in my industry, but we live it and breathe it. So I love that. Not looking to replace that with doing this, but hey, if the cards had dealt it, this is certainly something that I would probably enjoy a little bit more, but only a little bit. But I love who I work for, love what I do. That just, I kind of all goes hand in hand. That's my day job. That's what I do day in, day out, 9 to 5 kind of thing. They take care of me well enough. Things have been a little bit hard with all the COVID stuff, and, it's a financial burden to a lot of people, but it's also a cultural burden. Fortunately, I've been working from home for several years. And a lot of our clients, it's kind of new to them. So not only do I get to consult software and all the technical stuff that I know and love, but I also get to, we're definitely leaders in this space. We've been working virtually for a long time. Some people from the office, some people from home, now everybody from home. But with those new clients, we get to show them how to do it, not just how to be successful with doing business virtually, but also how you can merge normal common life these days with that. The kids are running around, they're going to be on camera, letting them know that those kinds of things are okay, and it doesn't impede what we can accomplish and how we can be successful with them. And so I love that aspect of it. It's just everything. I love the fact that I'm able to kind of flex those leadership muscles. The people that work for me, for whatever reason, love working for me. I try to connect with them personally while still, having clear expectations in that. But also the people that I work for, I have what is probably more of a partnership with my boss than a subordinate one, though, I certainly respect what she does and the time that she's put into things. But we collaborate more than anything else. So yet again, one more thing I love about my job. So that's been fantastic. Yeah, so that's the job. That's what pays the bills. So yeah, let's go ahead and move on. One of the things that I kind of wanted to accomplish with this, besides just being raw and letting you see all stuff, is this is going to be kind of my test bed. I'm going to take the recording of this. I'm going to tweak it. I'm going to learn all those tools. I've done some research ahead of time, but as I learned when I actually tried to set up this stream right here and now, not everything will go as expected. Fortunately, I'm in a business of risks, and I know that that kind of stuff can happen. So I had one software platform that I was going to be streaming from. That didn't quite do what I wanted it to, so quickly adjusted that, and using something new, I fired up Streamlabs. Really easy to set up, quick to get going. There's definitely some tweaking that I want to do, looking at the overlays. My scenes kind of blocked out, not quite how I expected when I was doing some testing for gaming, but all that stuff, that's what this is here for. So I could either do this behind the scenes and get ultra prepped and spend another couple weeks getting things ready and primed and produced, or I can just fire this off and go live. One of the things I loved when I was podcasting was that I was authentically me every time. I don't want to try to portray any kind of character. I'm not here to be, the next rising star of anything, and this isn't for fame. This is just for me to share my experiences with you as I'm gaming. I think, despite what you may see on this right now, I think I'm actually an excellent communicator, and I think I have good stuff to say. I always felt like I was valuable to the podcast that I was on, even when I was on the radio. And so why not share that? I like talking. People like listening to me for some reason. So that's a good relationship for us to go into starting from here on out, I thought. And you're going to get to see it all. The good, the bad, the ugly, the flubs, the successes. And that's why I wanted to do this starting now instead of later. So with that in mind, from the podcasting days, I've got a nice CAD microphone here just off to the side. I hope the sound is great. If not, we'll see when I do some post-production editing here after that. And sorry, I keep looking up. I've got notes there. I'm not scripted, but I do want to have some talking points to go through to keep me from just rambling mindlessly. I'll just ramble minded. I'll mindedly ramble. I've got a nice 4K monitor that's probably way too big for what I'm looking at. And I have these brand new glasses, which are transition glasses that also have some blue filtering, which tend to, if I look just right, they reflect everything, which is really terrible when I'm working and I've got both screens open, because it's like all you see are these big white glasses, and it's not very fun. What you see here is what's going to pass for my studio for a little while, or probably forever, actually. I mean, if things went great and I was able to kind of renovate this and maybe do some soundproofing, that'd be fantastic. You see some clouds on the background. There's an anecdote about that. Basically, when I bought the house, they had marketed this room and the room on the other side of the wall to be boys and girls' bedrooms. So I got the boys' room as my office here, and this is clouds on a nice blue background. The room on the other side of the wall is my younger daughter. It was nice and bright pink. I would rather have had neutral colors all throughout, and I've been here way too long for me not to have painted this yet, but I have other priorities, I guess. So you've got the nice background. I did have... one of the things that Kay likes to do is craft. We're actually in the middle of remodeling our basement, getting it finished and all that so that she can have a nice craft room. But on that wall behind me, I actually had something that she had recently made for our wedding anniversary that I had up on the wall, and this light that you get to see all this nice shiny reflection off of was also reflecting off of it like crazy. But so I'm going to show you up close. This is a clock that she had made me with the vinyl of a design that she had got from someone that I thought was pretty badass. And so that was on the wall, like kind of going backwards, left and right, and twisting and clockwise and all that fun stuff. But no, she went through a lot of trouble to make this, and it's pretty fantastic. And I'm going to have that up on the wall. I need to somehow deal with the glare, but right now you don't see a green screen. I do have that and ready to go, but for the first little episode here, I wanted to make sure that it was as raw as possible. So this will probably, hopefully, be the last time you see those walls, and I'm not going to be too heartbroken about that. I mentioned that Kay does some crafts. She did that. She's making some masks for an event she's doing right now. This is also another wedding anniversary gift. A Yeti cup. I swear by this stuff now. It's fantastic and amazing, but she's also going to do some like some vinyl and some resin on it and make it all nice and shiny and pretty. And that's probably going to be my official cut both for work and this. But it's a character in the story, so figured I'd introduce you to the Yeti. My exposure to YouTube and streaming and gaming, I'll be straight up, I don't watch a lot of streaming, which is kind of ironic given what I'm trying to do here. But there are a few things that I watch. There's a couple Diablo streamers, Diablo 3 streamers specifically, but also I watch some other Diablo stuff. Rax and Riker are probably the two big streamers that I watch on a regular basis. And well, Riker I watch more for his news stuff. Rax I watch for his streaming. Pretty phenomenal stuff. Kay also plays Diablo with me. We have our living room set up, which is basically two nice sized TVs side by side with the PS4 Pros. Because one of the weird things about Diablo is since it doesn't have split screen, you're all on the same screen at the same time if you're playing on the same system. And rubber banding is a thing, and it drives us nuts. So I kind of sprung for another TV. 4K TVs are cheap as heck right now, so got another one of those. We've had PlayStations in multiple rooms of the house for a while now. I definitely prefer co-op games on PS4 over PC, but there's a lot of gaming I like on PC as well, so that's predominantly what I'm going to be streaming, especially until we have our house cleaned up from all this basement finishing stuff and we can actually get something, less than chaotic around. I don't know. Maybe PS4 streaming in the future, probably not. We'll see. Also, Gems of War is a game that we're both playing, which just kind of, I'm not even sure why I'm playing that sometimes. A match 3 game isn't necessarily what I thought I would spend a lot of my time on, but it's crazy how deep that game goes. It's really not even match 3. It's more like Magic the Gathering, where you play match 3 to get mana to do some pretty crazy stuff with your characters. I might stream some of that here before the end of the podcast. I don't know what this is. Before the end of this session. We're going to call it a session, and we're all in therapy. Welcome. Anyway, things that S and K like to do together. Diablo, Gems of War. We board game quite a bit. Right now we're going through Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Gloomhaven, if you're familiar, is this giant behemoth of a Dungeons and Dragons in a box kind of setup. It's very involved, very thorough, very my kind of thing. But they came out with this Jaws of the Lion, which is basically an introduction to Gloomhaven. It walks you through the first few scenarios. It gently introduces you to a couple rules every scenario. And really has just been a phenomenal... I'm overusing the word phenomenal, but I can't think of anything else to describe that. It's been a great gameplay experience. It got Kay into being able to play the game really well. She's great with board gaming, don't get me wrong, but it was a great introduction to it, and it definitely brought those things to light in a pretty logical manner. And then it kind of, so you play the first 5 or 6 chapters of it using this learn to play guide as you go through, and then it just kind of lets you off the training wheels and you kind of finish it off yourself as far as the campaign goes. It has a couple different branches. If you wanted to replay it, there's a couple different ways that storyline could go, but we're almost finished with that. Terraforming Mars is probably collectively our not even probably, sorry. Terraforming Mars is our collective favorite game. We've played that into all hours of the night. Sometimes we start a game in the evening, finish it the next morning. It can definitely take a few hours, but it just, we love playing it. She wins some of the time. I win some of the time. We don't really keep track of scores we play, so sometimes who wins ends up being a bit of a surprise when one of us is a lot higher on the victory track as we're playing, and then suddenly the other one just kind of sweeps them. But there's a lot of different strategies to the game, and we just love it to death, and we will probably play that game forever. Several expansions, we've added all of them into the games. We've tried having some friends play that with us, and it goes pretty well. I think it definitely takes some getting used to, though. So I think probably 3 or 4 games before you kind of really get the hang of what you're doing with that game. But hopefully we'll get some friends that are into that, get them ramped up and ready to play more often, and it's just a ton of fun. So we do the board games. We also watch a lot of shows together. Who doesn't these days? It is, coronavirus pandemic, COVID days. Who's not watching shows? I mean, I think if you're someone who invested in entertainment streaming, I think you're probably doing pretty well these days. That's so many people doing that. But we started it. We started the trend. We were the first people to binge watch things on Netflix. I don't promise that, but I'm sure it's true. Right now, we're watching The Boys Season 2. Interestingly enough, when we were on our honeymoon, which was just over a year ago, we were actually watching The Boys Season 1. So we've been excited to continue that. We waited for it to be finished. It just finished airing on Amazon Prime. But we watched the first episode of Season 2 last night. Did not disappoint. Very ridiculously gory show, though, so keep that in mind. Also, The 100. That's a show we've watched. She had watched most of it up until we had started watching TV together. Got me caught up in the last season, and now the final season of The 100 just finished airing, so once we're done with The Boys, The 100's the next thing that we're going to catch up on, I'm sure. Also very excited this month, Star Trek Discovery Season 3. I don't care what you think about Star Trek. If you give me grief about Discovery, I will fight you. We love Discovery in this house. It's a fresh take on Star Trek. I know it's not the same as what other Star Treks before it have been, but we certainly love it. And that includes my 9-year-old. And season 3 airs a week from today. Episode 1, though, it's going to be episodic, week after week, which is weird in this day and age because I want everything that I can digest all at once. But then later this month, Mandalorian Season 2. Also very excited. I'm not so much a Baby Yoda fan, but I like the story. I'm excited to see, at least from the trailer, it looks like it's more Star Warsy rather than a Western. But either way, I think it was really well produced, and season 2 hopefully won't disappoint. So yeah, those are the things we're watching. Also, if we're including Mo, my daughter, she's actually a Star Trek freak as well. My older daughter did not enjoy Star Trek so much when she was a child. She's now in her 20s. But Mode is like all about it. We've got 2 different streams of Star Trek going on right now. We've got the original Star Trek series I'm watching with Mo, and we're almost done with season 3 being the final season of the original series. Then we're going to move into the movies. I apologize now in advance to her for the motion picture, but we'll get through it and we'll get to the later stuff. But then also as a family, we're watching Next Generation, and during dinner time, we're almost... Oh no, yesterday we finished season 3, which was the midpoint of the Best of Both Worlds. For those of you that are familiar with Star Trek, one of the best, if not the best, episodes of Next Generation, where they'd introduced the Borg before, but this is the one where the Borg become a real storyline part of things, and oh goodness. So we watched the first half of that, and we're really excited to jump into that going forward the next time we watch it together. So that's the family entertainment stuff. We also try to go up to the lake and do all those kind of fun outdoorsy things, but that has nothing to do with gaming, so blah. Let's see, what else? So the walls I talked a little bit about the noise. So this room is the upper bedroom, if you will, of our tri-level house. It's in the middle of the living space, so you might hear a toilet flush every now and then. This microphone picks up everything. There might be noise from Mo's room when she's going to bed or doing something in there, trying to keep that kind of canceled out. But those will be things that I'll be looking at, how I need to resolve those kinds of things, probably in post-editing for putting things up on YouTube. But if I'm streaming on Twitch, then it's live, so you got to deal with it. I'll do my best to kind of keep that as a minimum, though. Another thing is, I've got this desk, and it's a nice wooden desk that has some metal frames, and I've got a clamp that's holding the microphone on it. So, as Spencer could tell you, if I hit this stupid thing, the microphone's going to start clanging and get the vibrations of that. So, I'm trying to keep my hands floating and not on anything so that I'm not clicking a mouse and all those things. So, I learned something. I did, buddy. Let's see. So, games. That's probably the biggest thing that anyone who's watching this might want to know about. I mentioned Gems of War. I I took part in one stream with a couple other people, and this is when I was just getting into Gems of War again. I had played it a couple years ago. The game has definitely grown a lot since then, but when I got back into it, I was still feeling like it was a bit of a guilty pleasure. Again, match 3 kind of gameplay. How popular is that going to be? Whatever. So I was actually a guest on someone else's stream, and I thought to myself at the time, who on earth is ever going to want to watch this? Who's going to want to watch people streaming Gems of War? So fortunately, a couple months later, I'm a little bit more open-minded to the idea, and I can certainly see where there are things that people might want to watch, have discussions about. And really, just to backtrack a little bit, that's what this is about. This is a discussion. I'm having a discussion with you. You have a discussion with other people. I have a discussion with me, whatever the case may be. There are certainly things about that. There's a big, deep metagame to Gems of War that I never would have expected. Also, in gaming news, if you have been an old school gamer, or if you are an old school gamer, if you have been, you'll note that Baldur's Gate 3 has entered early access, which I kind of have mixed feelings about the early access thing, because the game's not complete, and I don't want to play an incomplete game, especially not Baldur's Gate 3. I grew up with Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and Throne of Ball, and it's as deep as role-playing games I think could get, especially story-driven role-playing games, and I think we call a lot of games that are really just character development games role-playing games when it's not so much what that really is. But Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 just obviously phenomenally important to the genre. So Baldur's Gate 3 came out today as far as early access goes. I'm definitely going to be knee-deep in that, neck-deep in that when it's full and feature complete. But I figured, hey, I'm ashamed to admit this as an RPG fan, but I have never played a straight-through campaign of Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 with the same character. I'll let that sink in for just a moment. But I've played Baldur's Gate 1, I've played Baldur's Gate 2, separate characters. You can continue one character through to the other. There's actually an interesting, I don't know what you would call it, a fan expansion of Baldur's Gate 2. So Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 and all the other BioWare games from the time, they came out with these enhanced editions, which basically clean up the UI, make it scalable to larger resolutions. They even came out on the consoles. So this enhanced edition, there's an extension you can get for that turns Baldur. I'm kind of tongue-tied on how to describe it. It basically combines Baldur's Gate 1, 2, and Throne of Ball into one fluid game. It basically imports all the assets from Baldur's Gate 1 into Baldur's Gate 2 and makes it a mod of Baldur's Gate 2, if you will. But it removes the break between the stories between Baldur's Gate 1 and 2, and also includes the Siege of Dragonspear, which was an expansion, basically Baldur's Gate 1.5 that came out a little while ago by Beamdog. So it makes it all one story. The characters one of the things that drove me nuts between Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 is you play Baldur's Gate 1, you have these side characters that join you on your journey and they level up, and you control how they level up and the stats they take. But then when you start Baldur's Gate 2, they start all over as these advanced forms of those same characters for those that continue. So this solves that problem so that your side characters are the same and you develop them all the way through till the end of the whole saga. And that I think is going to be much more fun. So I've started that over. I've started Baldur's Gate 1 recently. Have just got to chapter 2 a little while ago. I'll probably stream some of that as I'm going, though don't look for a complete walkthrough of this. I don't. Oh my goodness, that would take hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I want to stream and play other things. One of the things about me is I like playing a lot of different things. I like a lot of variety. I love board game apps. One of the ones that I'm playing now is Roll for the Galaxy. If you're familiar with that, it's just a little dice game that you kind of build this empire along until all the victory points are gone, or until you have so many little buildings built. And they recently came out with an app for that on Steam and all the mobile devices. I'm enjoying that. I might stream one or two of those. So probably eclectic variety. One of the things I can guarantee I will be streaming, though, in abundance is Cyberpunk. I have been waiting for that game forever, brought to you by the same people, CD Projekt Red, that did Witcher, the Witcher series. Cyberpunk has been my jam. I played that as a pen and paper game when I was a young lad, and it was a lot of fun. I had a problem with the high fantasy of Dungeons and Dragons. It's just too much. Even when I was a kid, I thought everything's kind of the same. It's all very Tolkien-ish. And I enjoyed the things that deviated from that. I loved riffs. I loved cyberpunk, all kinds of different things. So I'm excited to see that kind of come to life by a company that knocked it out of the park with Witcher 3 and expansions. So that should be a lot of fun. Baldur's Gate 3, when it comes out, is definitely going to be probably getting most of my day. Also Diablo 4 when it comes out. I think Diablo 4 is going to be getting back to its Diablo 2 roots, kind of skipping 3. I love 3. I love Diablo 3. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But it is definitely a different kind of game than Diablo 2 was. So Diablo 4 kind of going back to the darker roots. I'm excited for that. I'll probably be playing it both on PS5 and here on the computer. Here on the computer to stream my solo stuff, PS5 to play with Kay. And we're just kind of, right now with Diablo 3, we're just doing the seasons every season that comes out and getting as far as we can with that and having a blast and then taking a few weeks off before the next season. Diablo 4, starting from scratch again with a new campaign, with a new storyline. I'm really excited. And I love some of the things that they've shown with like the new skill tree and things like that. So that's going to be a little more Diablo 2-esque. Very much looking forward to sharing that with you, as well as sharing that with my family. Mo plays Diablo 3, so I'm pretty sure by the time Diablo 4 comes out, she'll be a few years older, and maybe I'll be a little more comfortable, because some of those scenes in the intro were just a little too much, I think. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell. That's everything we're doing. I don't even really know what else to say except that we love our cars. Exciting news that we had just in the last month is so when I bought this house, which was about 6 years ago, the next year after that, we went to get cars. My career is actually doing pretty well, where it hasn't always. So I got a Corvette. I'm not having a midlife crisis, I promise. But I grew up pretty poor. And when I growing up in an environment that I did, for some reason, Corvette was the thing that stood out as, like a kid, 5, 6 years old. Starting from then, I saw a Corvette and it was exciting. So I kind of always measured, my potential life, success as, when I can afford a Corvette, then, hey, I know I've made it. So it wasn't brand new, but I did get a pretty good deal. It had less than 800 miles on it when I bought it, and it was 10 years old. So someone left it sitting in a garage. Their loss is my gain, and so I got that. That feeling of getting the car that I always wanted, that one thing. And I'm not a hugely material person. I like my technology more because I like what I can do with it. But if I had to give all of that up for whatever reason, my family would come first, and I could do that without hesitation easily. But achieving that, getting that thing that I always wanted as a milestone in my life, was just such an amazing feeling. I go downstairs into the garage and, I go to drive somewhere or something, and there is always that moment of appreciation because, damn, that car is pretty. But she also drives like a beast. And when I got it, I had no idea what I was really getting into. I thought I did, but it surprised me then. So anyway, fast forward to just over a month ago, and we were just in a position. I've been very responsible this last year and a half. Paid off most of our debts, brought my credit rating up, and just was kind of in a position that I wanted to share that feeling. Due to Kay's health, she's doing a lot of stuff, and I mean she's busy all the time, but she's not working. So it just kind of sucked to think that the person that I love most may not ever get to feel that. So I wanted to kind of help that happen. And so we did. So we went out and got her a Jeep. And totally coincidental. I didn't plan this in any way, shape, or form, but the Jeep, the color scheme matches my car. It's, the red exterior. Hers is like a torch red. Mine is victory red. And you can't really tell them apart, I think, as far as the shades with the leather black interior. So we have his and her cars, and it's a little ridiculous. But that's I think the one thing where we're good to splurge, and we're happy with how that worked out. But otherwise, we have a nice little suburb home, and we do okay, and things are good. We don't have to stress about money, though. We also, we're not completely wealthy either. That we can't just forget everything, but we budget carefully. We go through our budgets every month, and we look at the things that we want to take care of and the things that we want to save for, track all that fun stuff using a program called YNAB. You need a budget. If you're into budgeting, check that out. I could even, send you a referral code, just saying. But yeah, so we have fun. We are responsible people. I don't know, maybe some people might consider us boring every now and then. But we have done some things that I think just kind of stand out and in order to make sure that she's able to get the most out of life. I'm able to get the most out of life. We're able to enjoy our time together, do the things that we want to do. I've never been overseas before, except for when I was in the Army, and I don't think that counts as a vacation plan. But so when we were getting married, we kind of went overboard, and we went on a dream vacation for our honeymoon to Italy. Best night of my life was we were in a hotel in Venice, and we had this room. We had a travel planner who set up stuff, so we didn't really know what we were getting into. But this last hotel we stayed in Venice before we came home was just this really small hotel room that had a door in it that the bellhop told us about when we were kind of checking in, and we didn't really think anything of it. Looking around, it's kind of small, whatever. We open the door. There's a staircase that goes up and around the side of the building, and it led us to this terrace at the top of this hotel overlooking all of the rest of Venice. So setting that scene, there were a couple couches out there. We were up there in just our robes, playing Through the Ages on our iPad. Through the Ages being a really in-depth kind of civilization builder board game, card game really, that they produced a fantastic mobile app for, and we were eating this fast food pasta from just this really, I can't remember the name of it, but it was different because all the food in like all the other places in Italy we went to were like restaurant, authentic Italian meals. And in Venice, it's very touristy. So there's a lot of these fast food pasta places. So we got that. We weren't making a big deal of anything, but just sitting up there at night, the sky was clear, could see the rest of the city, and just sitting up there with the woman I love, eating fast food pasta, playing a board game on an iPad. And it just really, everything in my life kind of sunk in that despite what I thought when I was younger, life can be pretty okay at times. So I don't know why I felt like sharing that. That wasn't something I had planned, but there you go. That's me thinking about scheduling. I think so. One of the things we do here is, because of all the stress of COVID and because of the stress of my daughter's going to online school and my wife's health and just all those things, we have realized the need for self-care. One thing you may want to know is that I'm in therapy, and I should be in therapy. Therapy is a very good thing. But self-care is definitely on the top of that list of things to take care of. So Thursday nights, from 6 to 11 p.m., we have personal night. Well, Mo only gets it until bedtime. She doesn't get to stay up until 11. And I need a drink. So anyway, Thursday nights, we're going to do personal time. So Thursday night is definitely going to be a night I think that I'm targeting for kind of doing this one-on-one, if you will. Probably be on YouTube more than Twitch, but we'll see how that goes. And then a couple times a week, doing a couple gaming spots. I'll probably focus on one game on one of those days. So Gems of War right now being my main game that I'm playing a lot of. That'll probably be the thing that gets the first rotation until Cyberpunk comes out. And then Baldur's Gate 3, for example, when that comes out, that's going to get that prime spot. And then the other day of the week, I'm thinking I'll probably just like to switch it up and do something that maybe you're not going to see on many other gaming streamer channels, things you may not be exposed to otherwise. You could probably expect some board game apps. Like I said, Roll Through the Ages is that one that I'm playing a lot of these days. You might get to see that. But otherwise, definitely let me know if there's things that you want to check out. I love playing indie games. I'm not a big first-person shooter person, so unless it's Borderlands, don't request that because I'm probably not going to do it. But anything else, love puzzle games, love RPGs, anything eclectic and off the wall, I'm certainly game for. I love retro graphics. I love retro gaming. So those kind of things are things that you could expect to see. I should have, by the time I do the next one of these, I should have the green screen up, have some, wonderful little background going so it's not so clouds on the wally. I don't even know what you would call that because that's really kind of terrible. And it's funny because this whole work situation where we're all doing, conferencing these days from home, I've been a lot more self-aware of the clouds in the background on the wall here because people are pointing it out. And it's actually a little embarrassing. So, all right. So that's all the talking I think I want to do. But I also, just kind of for my own purposes and for, streaming that kind of stuff, figured maybe I'll fire up some Gems of War and just do a match or two, and then it gives me something to edit and maybe something a little more entertaining than me just jibber jabbering the whole time. Ooh, servers are experiencing degraded performance. Let's go ahead and see if I've got the stream set up here. And looking for a game to capture. Oh, look at that. There we go. All right, Gems of War, level 1077. That tells you that I maybe have too much free time on my hands. So quick kind of little walkthrough. One of the things that I love about Gems of War is that it starts off where you just have a couple kingdoms and you start and you do these quests and you beat some opponents and then you get more cards, which are your troops. And I've got a filter on that. Let me clear the filter. So yeah, there's, like I said, I'd mentioned this is kind of like Magic the Gathering where you play match 3 for your mana. It's ridiculous. Troops, they each have their attack, their defense, their health stats, keywords, if you will. Each of them have a bonus when you build up their mana. You've got some kind of attack or some kind of spell that happens. And then you have passive abilities for each of them that you basically buy with in-game currency called trait stones. There's just so much to it. There's I think it was 889 different troops currently, and then you have you as represented as a character where you've got a class, each of them having some stuff. You've got a level, which basically just determines your basic stats. You've got talent trees, which give you some abilities like this one here. I could choose between giving 3 magic if using a polearm, reduce damage from spells by 20%. All yellow allies gain 1 magic. So every time I kind of unlock one of those with any given class, I get to choose one of that, and you can change those at will. And then you've got your permanent passive things called traits, much like troops. Then you've also got banners, so every kingdom that you unlock has a banner that's associated with it that gives you bonuses to mana. If you match that color, you get 1 extra blue, for example. Some of them are even much more powerful with 1 color, but then you have a penalty to another. So just combining teams for any situation is also deep, but then also you've got, so when you go into battle, you've got a team. You can have one or none weapons. If you take a weapon, then you're representing your character there. So my character is using the Shield of Erskaya. And then you've got 3 or 4 troops, depending on whether you had a weapon. Or you can have less if you want. There are some summoning teams that might want to leave a slot open. But so this is my team. Rarity of troops is a really big deal because that determines their maximum level. Teal is Mythic, which has a level cap of 20, which is the highest in the game. Let's see, I think Rowan... okay, and then so it starts off as white being normal, green being rare, blue being ultra rare, purple being epic, as you see here with the old leprechaun. Then you have orange, which is legendary, and then finally you've got teal, which is mythic. One of the clever things about the game is you actually ascend these troops into higher rarities based on the number of copies that you have of this. So if I look at this alchemist here and I go to upgrade, this is the upgrade path. I've already upgraded him several times. Mythic, I would need to have 50 extra copies of that card, but then I could ascend it to Mythic, which then allows me to get it up to level 20. And also, let's see, I've got Rowan here has some. And then once it's Mythic and it's got all its traits and it's level 20, then you can also add some medals. I've actually exceeded those, but that just gives it a few extra stats. It's not a big deal, but sort of gets you even that 1% tougher to be able to do the things you want. So that's your troops. That's what you have, but then what you do in the game is also very varied. You start off with these kingdoms. Each kingdom has a kingdom quest of about, I think it's 23 different matches that you have. Until you beat that, then from there you have levels, which actually you can level up a kingdom before you complete its kingdom quest, but those give you different passive bonuses in the game. Then you also have powers, which powers, so the levels you just have to spend currency. The powers you actually have to accomplish things, like this one, getting 16 Divinian field troops. I have those, but then I've got to upgrade 14 of them to level 19, fully upgrade to weapons, and then the powers go up. And if you look at the powers, you can see the bonuses, also different kinds of passive stuff. So that's the thing that you do. Then you also have some kind of standard things that you can do all the time. Treasure hunts, this is Kay's favorite. It's basically just it's a match 3 thing where you're trying to line up gold, silver, bronze things, and then into chests, and then into better chests, and finally into vaults. And the better you do on that, like each of the nodes on it, if it's a vault, it gives you the most rewards. If you have red chests, then you get other rewards that aren't quite as good, but so it's different. It's not the fighting aspect of Gems of War that the rest of it tends to be. Then you've got a gnome vault. You have to have a vault key, but then that gives you a fight against just this guy Cedric and 3 of his gnomes. And once you beat that, you've got a random chance at some really great rewards like orbs, which I'll talk about. That's a whole nother episode here. Arena, where it's kind of a draft thing. You draft 1 troop of each of the first 4 rarities, put together a team, and then see how far you can fight, and you get better rewards based on how far you go. Dungeons, which I've already beaten today, but there's 3 different matches that you can do on that are a little tougher than the norm. And then once you beat the first one, you can get this gem bounty for some crafting currency. That's another episode. Delving is my favorite way to play. Once you get almost finished with the kingdom quests, you have another kingdom sprawl that you can do that opens up all these, but instead of doing a regular kingdom quest, you have delves, which I'll go ahead and start here. I've got 1 delve left for the day that I intentionally left open. You kind of build up this kingdom with some quality meaning that you get extra treasure when you beat it, but also level, which increases the stats of all of your troops while you're doing that delve. And you get that through some rewards that you can earn as you're playing them. But this delve, instead of just going to a kingdom and doing matches, you get this delve that you're increasing in level, and ultimately you want to get to level 500 on each of them, apparently, which I don't know who's got that kind of time, but there are people who do. But instead of just going somewhere and fighting, you go into any given delve and you get this level 1 thing, and the thing about delves is it's more like a progression dungeon. Once you complete one node, then you're able to access any other node that it's touching. City of Thieves, a lot of people use as a farming faction because you can beat it really quick and you get some rewards. And so I'll show you how quick you can actually finish this stuff. And yeah. So this is a team, if you ever play Gems of War, you know who Rowain is. Basically, it's the more armor you get, the more damage you do to everybody, and you have that shield, which gives you more armor. So it's kind of a cyclical kind of thing. So yeah, I just beat one node of that, and then boom, I've got all these other nodes that were opened up. And so ultimately what I would want to do is finish each of these. I don't have to, but you have to finish one, as I mentioned. You unlock the ones that you're touching. This is the boss room right here. So I would have to finish one of these 5s, and then I could go finish it. So if you're looking just to finish a delve, you would want to do the minimum and just knock out one of these 2 rooms and go and finish it. But you get treasure every room, and you have these multipliers, this multiplied by 1.25. So if you do all of them, you have bonuses that you multiply by between 1.1 and 1.5. That multiplier, this room treasure multiplier, will increase, and you'll knock all of those out. And so if you finish the whole thing, you get better rewards. So this one, we just farm it over and over again. You get 3 delves a day. I typically will do that unless I'm working on one of the other ones specifically for some given reason. And then you also get some specific troops from each of the delves that you, or each of the factions that you won't find anywhere else. So sometimes if you're looking for one of those troops, there are a couple of them. Like the Miraji Queen, you will just continually spend your shards that you get as a reward on the Sunken Fleet over and over again until you get enough copies to ascend that to Mythic, and then you work on something else for something. So, long story short, there's a lot of different things to do with Gems of War. I think that's why I love playing it, because there are days that I just want some mindless fun. There are days that I want to work on some specific goal. Getting all of your kingdoms to level 10 is one of the primary ones. I have a guild that we have these guild tasks. The guild that I'm in requires that I donate 1 million gold every day, or every week, excuse me, every week. But the gold is used by completing these tasks, and they give you rewards like this epic blue task here. If we were to complete it, we'd get 36 chaos shards. But if we complete all the tasks in a set, then everyone in the guild gets +2 magic on all of their troops that week, +4 armor, +4 health, +3 attack, +4 health, +4 armor. So those things all kind of add up to everybody's success. So the requirement to spend money has a purpose, and we all get benefit from that. And then some of the higher guilds will also knock out all these epic tasks as well. And it's just, there's so many different avenues to go in that game. You get reward chests for stuff, which is how you get extra troops and how you build up those troops. And so I got extra copies of all of those cards, which, as you remember, that's what you need to ascend them. So that's always good stuff as well. And it is a freemium game, so it's free to play. You can literally play this game forever without ever spending a dime. Though you can also spend money to get more gems. You'll see this currency up here, the 965. Usually you get that very slowly through playing the game, but you can also buy some stuff in the shop to get lots of those, or get some resources or subscriptions. So they make their money in spades, I'm sure, but it's not necessary to enjoy it. I know Kay plays it, and she's been rising up in the ranks and doing some really good stuff and having some fun with the game, and she just barely spent money on it the first time, just the other day, to participate in this campaign thing for extra rewards. I could go on and on. One of the things that I am going to do is I like to do speed runs. Like I had mentioned that you get three delves a day. One of the things I kind of challenge myself with is to do all 3 of those City of Thieves runs in as short a time as possible. They recently patched the game just yesterday that made one of the elements that slowed things down a lot faster, so I'm excited to see how that's going to go. So I might just pop on every now and then and see what I can get for my best time on the City of Thieves runs. Hopefully, if you're into Gems of War, you'll also be interested in seeing that, and we can have some conversations about the metagame, some of your favorite troops, that kind of stuff. I just recently got one of the most prized troops that I've been kind of saving up for. High King Iron Gut, who was there's a crafting shop basically that you can spend some of your resources on. This guy was really expensive. There's a couple others that I want, but this is the first one that kind of breaks. There's a few of them that break you into end game stuff and make things possible that aren't really possible without them, and this is the first troop that I've kind of gotten in that set, so I was really excited to get a chance to get that. Played around with that this week, and it's been a lot of fun, so I'm kind of opening up the next phase of my gameplay. Once every hour you can collect your gold from your kingdoms, which they don't always trigger. They have a tribute chance, but so I just got to do that and got another 3,000 gold. So as you can see, I've got over 1 million gold. I don't have to pay that on my weekly thing until Monday, so I've got some time to earn up some money and do some of the other stuff I can spend money on if I like. Anyway, that's kind of my thing in a nutshell. I will, like I mentioned, I'll be editing this and throwing it up on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you looking there. If you're watching me on Twitch, appreciate that as well. I love gaming and I love talking, so that just kind of makes a natural combination that I think will work out well. But I'll post links to everywhere so that people can kind of find me and let you know that I exist. But of course, spreading the word is always the best way to get new people watching. So if you like this, definitely spread the word. If not, tell me why. Maybe there's something that I can add to the channel that will make it a little more enticing. But either way, I'm loving what I'm doing. And if nobody watches, then I can still have a lot of fun with this. But the more people that do, the more I'm going to enjoy it. And the more I hope you'll enjoy it as well. So thank you for spending some time with me. And I will definitely see you again soon. Bye.